healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
And we are back. Oh my gosh. Hi, everyone.
Welcome.
Sarah and I just got into the weeds with something that might shock you, but we both love Tampa and we can see it as a place to live.
My fantasy is to own either a car detailing business where I go to your place and clean your car.
Oh, yes.
And maybe a side power washing.
Yes, the power washing.
In Tampa.
You can power wash year round there. It's
my
very
dreams
valuable.
have gotten so low.
I would love to just own a home in Tampa and I think my fantasy is more of like going to Costco and like filling my home with that giant jar of nutmeg. Tampa is, I know that it's like tacky because I remember there was a 30 Rock episode where the girl, I'm blanking on her name now, but the blonde woman in 30 Rock was like
The intern, or not the one that worked.
Jana.
Yeah.
Jenna.
Oh, Jenna, yes.
Jenna was like, that was what I've used to buy my vacation home in Tampa. And it was like tacky. And I was like, oh, Tampa's tacky. But I have to say, it's delightful. I've been there. I've been to St. Pete Beach.
It's lovely.
There's no hurricanes there.
It's no different than any other beach place. It's just white sand and blue water. That's all I need. I don't care about the people. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't need to have liberals everywhere around me. Like,
yeah.
I'm not getting into deep conversation.
Yeah, I know. I'm not talking with you. Absolutely.
Everything's superficial. I'll keep that to myself.
Yeah.
Where my stance is on things. I just want easy living, and it just feels like Tampa again. Like, isn't it funny?
Tampa.
Like, as you get older, you're like, I don't need to be on SNL. I just want a life where I can easily go to Costco.
Yes. I just want to freeze things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Florida is a very strange state in the way where it almost feels like you're time traveling as you go across the country, where it's like, we're in the future, weed is legal. Now we're back in the 50s. Like, you can't get an abortion.
Yeah.
But Florida's like a weird in-between place where it's like, hey, weed is legal. You can get it anywhere.
Do whatever you want.
But like, don't say trans.
Yeah.
Don't say it. It's illegal. Don't say it at Disney World.
Yeah.
Ron DeSantis will come for you.
It's an odd play. It just feels like a Wild West. And we've talked about this before. Like, Florida gets hate on where they are like crazy behavior, but you're like, I'm sorry, New Yorkers also have crazy behavior.
Oh, like no one in New York's ever done bath salts,
or
no one's ever eaten a face,
or like the person that yells at you for having a conversation on the sidewalk because they think that like they own. You know what I mean? Have you ever had that? Where, like, can you guys move? You're being too loud, and you're like, well, you live in New York,
right? I'm sorry, I'm on the sidewalk in front of your brownstone, madam.
Crazy person.
Well, we just did a very fun bonus episode about my recent trip, and Sarah's also been to Key West. So we have some Key West secrets in there. My top 3 key lime pies that I had while I was there.
We also I love the Cuban coffee. I always just get a Cuban sandwich and a Cuban coffee in the morning, and it's kind of like the equivalent of the egg sandwich here.
I had a great at the Comedy Key West, which is the comedy club down there. In the daytime, it is a coffee shop called Doing Work Coffee. I had the best cold brew I've ever had in my life. It was a cold brew that was then aged in a bourbon cask.
What?
Yeah. So it had like just a light taste of bourbon, not in a bad way, but almost like when you eat like a bourbon ball, like a little bourbon chocolate. It was, oh my God, it was crazy.
Delightful.
And they were like, this one has 30% more caffeine. I was like, okay, give me a small.
Yeah.
It sent me. I was running around, power walking the island. But yeah, please check out our Patreon for our full episode on our Key West journey. And thank you to everyone who has joined our Patreon.
Yeah, thank you. We've got some new patronage.
Yes, particularly.
Is that the right way of saying it?
Patronage. Patronage.
It sounds like patronizing.
Thank you for patronizing us. Oh, Lady Journey's really great.
Here's $5.
I want to say thank you to Julia. Julia, thank you. And thank you so much. God bless you.
You get this turd.
This is Sarah said. She said this. It looks like a turd, and I have to say, I kind of agree. Shiny,
A
sparkle turd,
a special turd.
This is the Galena, and this is actually straight from Death Valley. What if it is? It's like a fossilized turd. I love it. This is the Galena. Now, Galena is this is a really fun one. This is guiding light for inner work and shamanic journeying.
Yes.
Ever since you told me that someone introduced their friend to you as this is my shaman, I have been really into using it and working it into my casual vocabulary in any way I can. Oh, as you know, I'm getting an MFA in shaman, and
I just love to be like, I'm gonna just introduce all my friends. This is my shaman. Like,
hi, this is my shaman. I'm Sarah.
Well, we watched that doc, Mother God.
Mother God.
I think it's fun to refer to our significant others as Father God.
Father God would not do the dishes last night. So, Julia, thank you so much. Enjoy your shamanic journey. Okay, get in there. And next, I want to welcome Betty. Betty, welcome.
Betty,
welcome.
I think this is a great one to throw into windshields.
Yes, Sarah loves this for its vandalism purposes.
Yes, if you go to yes.
It's got a great heft to it.
Yeah, if you went to a junkyard, I would be chucking that into a lot of windows.
It does. It really does make you want to throw it into glass.
Yeah.
Something about it. I mean, this is a hefty little orb. This is the citrine sphere. This was the one that was, again, donated to us by Greenwood Lake Yoga. If you're in the Greenwood Lake, New York area, they have some great yoga studios. But classes, sorry. But anyway, Betty, the citrine sphere, this is for you. This is sending you abundance, prosperity, and success. Whoa. How about that? That's
I'll take that.
Yeah, me.
Give me that
no
back.
kidding. And then we've got one more. Yeah. Success. What is it?
Actually, I'm going to take that for myself.
Yeah, that's why you want to throw it through a window.
Stick.
You're like, I'm yeah, sorry. And then let's see, Rachel. Rachel, thank you so much for joining the Patreon. I've got the amethyst for you today, Rachel. This is sending you
can't
clarity.
go wrong with purple.
Can't go wrong. This is my favorite color. I love a light
It's like
purple.
your sweater.
Oh, hello. So me. Amethyst for you today, Rachel, sending you clarity and peacefulness.
Nice.
Clarity is so underrated, but like we're just in a fog constantly. And then every now and then you have a moment where you're like, oh my God.
This is what I need to do.
Oh my God, I could get my life in order and all I have to do is 12 things.
All my friends.
Yeah, just cut everyone out of my life and join a cult. But so I hope you get a moment of clarity, Rachel, and hopefully it comes during this podcast. Uh-oh.
You might with these topics.
And you look out. No, I'm wearing my contacts again. Isn't this fun? I've been wearing them more. I'm practicing wearing them. I had to start forcing myself to practice wearing them at least one time per week because I wouldn't wear them and then I was like, I would go to wear them and then I would just be like an hour of just like poking myself in the eye.
Yeah. I would not be able to do contacts. I mean, I'm sure you just get past it. But
It's terrifying. It's never not been the most scary thing I've ever done.
yeah, to have any, and then the idea of getting a contact to go back in there. Have you ever had your friend that's like this?
Oh. Yeah.
It's back there.
I know, it's like, help. Like every person I talk to that wears contacts has a horror tale.
Yes.
Like everyone's like, oh yeah, well that was when I had my eye ulcer, but you just go to the emergency room. They're like, no, I just woke up in the middle of the night. They tell it so casually. They're like, no, I just woke up in the middle of the night with a stabbing pain in my eye and it was the greatest pain I've ever experienced. But I might just have my husband drive me to the emergency room.
Fine.
I lost vision.
My cornea is not intact.
Well, I had a so I wore my contacts out New Year's Eve. I went to an extravaganza for New Year's Eve. I went to go see Mike opened for Nate Bargatze at the Amaranth Bank Arena, which is a hockey arena.
Where is that?
It's in
on ice. I would love to see stand up on ice.
Whoa. Yeah. Whoa. Just falling. It's just physical comedy of you like slapstick. It's like outside Fort Lauderdale. So it's like Hollywood, Florida area. So we went.
Fancy.
Yeah, it was fancy. We went down and I was like, I want to look my best. I put my contacts on and I guess what happened was maybe it popped out at some point or maybe it never got in the first place. But I did have a few glasses of wine that night and it was about 1 a.m. and I was just pinching my bare eyeball, thinking that my contact was stuck on my eyeball, but it was not in there at all. And then I found it. I was like, let me just look around, and I found it, and it was dried out, and I think it had been down there for, I don't think I ever had a contact in the whole night. So that was scary. And then, of course, the next day, especially after having a couple glasses of wine, I just had chills of fear that I almost blinded myself.
I was just because it just makes me laugh to think of Mike watching you go through your ordeal. When your partner is flailing, you're like, oh my God, what is happening?
I'm just scraping my cornea with my nail. But I was fine. My eye is very resilient.
All good.
No harm done. But I do love the irony of that, because I don't want to wear glasses because I'm vain, and so and I
gouging my eyes out.
Yeah, I almost didn't have to. I almost went straight to eye patch. So, anywho, that's part of my glow up. Part 2 of my glow up, brown eyeliner.
Ugh. I love a brown eyeliner because first of all, I love eyeliner. And I would say if I was on a deserted island, my one makeup item would actually be eyeliner.
Oh, eyeliner is the only makeup that you need.
Yes. You can do the under or the tight line, and you can kind of blur it out a little bit, and then nobody knows, kind of. And it's just enough to not make you look pale or tired.
Yeah. Well, when you see your eye without eyeliner, you're like, that seems wrong.
I know. Remember when you were a kid and you would see your friend's mom with no makeup on, and you'd be like this, oh,
Mrs. Johnson. No.
Do you have cancer?
I forget what brand this is. I think it's called Cali Gal. It's a new brand that I saw at Sephora of clean eyeliner, but I will say it is that like waterproof kind, which you're not supposed to have if you have blepharitis, because it's like you kind of want it to come off with water.
Yeah, that's
unless you're like have an emotional problem where you're sobbing constantly, like just let it smudge.
Yeah. Well, I get that. Like I did, when you do clear and you always have to, like, I had to take a photo, and I do it sometimes, and then I forget that I'm wearing eyeliner, and I rub my eye, and then I also had the baby with me, and he was fussing, and they took my photo, and it was so bad because I just had Britney Spears eyeliner smudge everywhere, and they're like, do you want to take it again? I'm like, no, it's fine. I can't do picture day right now. Like, oh my God. I will deal with having this. But that's the one thing I get annoyed with eyeliner, is that like sometimes it smudges really badly throughout the day, or it goes into my corner of my eye, and I'll be having a regular conversation with somebody, and then I'm like, why were they staring at me weird? Yeah. And then I get home and I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, you've got to be fucking
You have one eye is fine and the other eye just no eyeliner on it.
It's just smeared everywhere. So I feel like it sets me up for embarrassment sometimes.
Yeah, eyeliner is tricky.
It is.
The more stuff you put on your face, the more you have to go wrong.
Yeah, like the lipstick is on the teeth, or like especially red lipstick. I don't know these witches that can pull off red lipstick. It's going like everywhere on me.
Oh, red lipstick. The most hilarious thing is, like, have you ever worn like red lipstick like to a fancy dinner, and you're like, oh, I'm eating the lipstick now. I wore it one time. I remember I was like, I'll get wings, and then I like just looked like
the Joker.
Yeah, just like a picture of instability. Yeah, red lipstick is. I love the girls that do like the liner around the mouth. I do not have the confidence to make my lips look larger than they are.
That's like insane. That is insane that you're drawing bigger lips onto your face. And that is fucking bonkers.
They make it look like on TikTok like it's totally believable. But if you ever talk to somebody like that, you're like, I see what's happening here.
You're a crazy person.
Yeah, it's nuts.
No, I've seen people try to do like, they'll do like a brown eyeliner around the lips to make it kind of like feel like it's 3D.
Yes.
But even that, when you're it's like,
it's very like J-Lo, like in like late 90s, early 2000s.
It's like, yeah, I'm sure this looks great in photos, but we're in real life right now. Like, I've always suspected that with the Kardashians. Like, yeah, they look amazing on social media, but they've got to look ratchet in real life because the contouring has got to look weird in person.
Yeah. That's what I think. Like,
that's what I tell myself to feel better.
Yeah, they have it hard.
Yeah,
they probably have challenges too. I forget what we were talking
brown
about
eyeliner.
today. Oh yeah, that was my thing.
Yes.
The brown eyeliner.
But it's great to switch over from the black because it's less harsh and it does just as great emphasizing.
And this is the reason that I started using it.
It's a good everyday look.
Yeah. I saw something that said, like, actually, if you have green eyes, brown is the correct choice for you. And that blew me away because I have been using black eyeliner forever and tight lining, and it just has been looking really weird to me lately. It looks like it's too much of a contrast on the lid.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'll see a photo, or have you ever seen like an older lady wearing black eyeliner and then you're like, whew. It's harsh.
Harsh. That's what it was looking on me. Yes,
and
exactly.
I feel like there's a time when you age where all of a sudden overnight, the eyeliner, you're like, oh, I got to change up my makeup plan.
Yes. Exactly. And I think for me too, I was using a black gel liner, the Isla one, which I like because it comes right off and you don't have any issues. But I think for me, a charcoal pencil is way better because it gives such a more like a
softer,
smudgy, it's like softer. Like the one eyeliner that I know I've railed about this on here before, but like liquid eyeliner, and I think it's really made its way out. It was like a big thing in like 2009.
Yes,
like everyone was doing like the wing, you know.
Do you ever look at makeup on TikTok and then you're like, let me try that, and you're like, why does it never look good on me? Like the winged eyeliner, I have to go like.
Yeah, I'm like
it
doesn't slanting two different like acute angles.
like it never gets. If I do the cat, it looks like Amy Winehouse makeup. Where you're like, that's not a good look. So I don't have the eye shape for that. But then they're like, try it this way, and then I'm like, I don't have the eye. It just feels like I never have the eye shape when they do like the contouring of like say like a lighter concealer to brighten the eye area. Yeah. I've done it and I'm like, I don't ever see a difference.
Right.
Or
Same.
it just looks like paint.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like I personally do not have the confidence to do a winged liquid eyeliner look because it's like, you really have to be like, hello, world.
Yeah, here I am.
I made this choice and I don't feel vulnerable about it.
Well, there's some people, I've seen some people wear it and you're like, oh, you gotta work it. It's not coming off great right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't think like some people just don't have the eye shape for it.
I think that's what it is. And I don't know which eye shape is correct.
I don't know. I'm like, is it just hot girls?
God.
Yeah. Like ask God.
Dear God.
That's why we go to church. What's the perfect eye shape? That is the only stuff I would ask God is for beauty advice. What are my angles?
God,
Jesus.
please. Yeah. But also I remember now my topic today is bitchiness, which is such fun. I am into this person on TikTok. Her TikTok handle is Style Crone.
Okay.
And she's 80 years old and she wears these like kind of impassioned outfits, and she's into this lifestyle that just because I'm 80, I don't need to dress in a certain way. You know, I can live, you know, she's basically like living the same life that we are, but she's just 80.
Yes.
And she doesn't have this ethos about her of like granny on a cane.
I love it.
You know?
I feel like I call that like kind of like driving the Corvette off the cliff where you're like, fuck it.
Fuck it. Drive it off the cliff.
I'm doing what I'm doing before I die.
Yes. And she wears these like really great pieces. And anyway, she posted this thing, which was like almost kind of like her little essay about like an air of bitchiness and how she loves it, and she kind of like celebrates it as like a light and fun way of like setting a boundary, but also like being flirtatious in a bitchy way, like, oh, you can't have that, that's mine.
Yes.
You know? And it was so inspiring to me.
Well, first off, my favorite kind of humor is bitchiness.
I love it.
To be like, when you're hanging out with somebody, just to be blatantly rude.
I used to do a character to my friends. I called it Hannigan. And I would just be kind of like that bitchy person. And it was fun. And it was like a celebration. And, people were receiving it in a way that was like safe and not like off put.
Well, that's like why I love people like Karen Fian.
An utter bitch.
I love her. But she'll just be on a podcast with a guy and being like, well, that's because you're not talented.
Yes. Yeah. Blunt.
You just haven't accepted that you're not talented.
Yeah. And she's right.
And she wouldn't say it if she wasn't right.
Yeah. And she wouldn't say it if she wasn't on a podcast.
Exactly.
Or like in that type of like space where that humor is
reveled.
encouraged.
Yes, definitely. But I think bitchiness has a level of like, there's a bit of truthiness to it.
Yeah.
And it's also got a bit of humor. Like, I don't like the people that are like, I'm the one of those people that tells it like it is. And you're like, well, I don't care for that.
Yeah. That's almost like a narcissism.
Yeah. I don't need brutally honest.
Yeah. Yeah. And as though like you're entitled to like dress me down for doing nothing.
Okay, well then let me unleash on you.
Yes.
After. Are you done? Because I'm about to rip into you.
Freedom of speech, bitch. I think bitchiness is more
it's
like
an art form.
It's an utter art form. It's a genre. Like Joan Rivers is like the ultimate bitch.
Yes.
Like welcoming and fun, but like, excuse me, like you're not standing in the right spot. Like go to your seat, sir. You know?
That's why I like hanging out with other bitchy women.
Yes.
Because sometimes you can have the fun repertoire back. Have you ever seen, there's a video that I loved of Betty White and Joan Rivers.
Yes.
And they're just passive aggressively being mean to each other. And it's the funniest thing ever.
My God. I love it. I love it. And I think like that's one of the reasons I used to love doing roast battles, because like I feel like at heart I am a people pleaser, but it's fun to step out of that and
say how you really feel in a humorous
covert way. I want to bring more bitchiness into my life. I think that sometimes, and I've seen some other clips recently, like there was a clip with Taylor Swift and she was talking about how and I know we're not big Tay heads on this podcast, but
I respect her, but I also have to
work.
I do want to say I felt like the way she handled Joe Coy's joke was a little eye rolling.
Oh, a little.
Lighten up.
Lighten
it wasn't
up,
even
Taylor.
anything vicious about her.
No. But I think that, you can't expect musician people to get a joke.
No, and I also feel like, I'm like, is she going to have a Khaleesi storyline from Game of Thrones where we're all rooting for her and then all of a sudden she
becomes evil? I hope she does. I would love to see this. So powerful.
Because I would love Taylor Swift to do a heel turn.
Oh, I would relish in it.
Yes.
Her next album. Now it's the anti-hero. Yeah. We've gone full villain. But she had a great clip, which I think kind of plays into bitchiness in a way where it was like, women are gaslighted in their work where like the second you set a boundary and say like, this needs to be something different, people that you're making their lives complicated will gaslight you into thinking that you're the problem.
Yeah. And it's not even like complicated. You're just like, that's not the vision that I want.
Yes.
And most of the time it's articulated in a way that I feel like is fair. And then you get labeled as difficult.
Being difficult. Like I did a show one time and somebody was taping the entire show. This is years ago before like we were all doing clips and stuff. But the guy was just like taping the entire show. I was like, well, I don't want to be taped. I don't know what's going on with this, but I don't want to be taped, because he was like, we're using it for, like it was one of those things where people are always trying to like, make a pilot of their stand-up show where it's like, so you're just ripping at everyone's act and you're putting it as though it's your pilot. I don't know. I said something. I was like, I surely won't be having, first of all, I'm going to bomb.
Yeah.
So I'm going into this, feeling unconfident. I can't have a tape on me. And he acted like I made a big deal about it.
Yeah.
And
well, you're like, well, you didn't even ask.
You didn't ask. Why would I just be okay with you taping me?
I remember Tiny Cupboard was kind of doing that. And then we were like, hey.
Yeah, this is not
You
not
need
right.
to let us know that you're doing that. Because sometimes you're like,
I want to
my
slurs.
Yes. Well, like, especially stuff out of context can make you look bad. if you're trying something.
Yeah, or like sometimes you're like,
maybe you don't have the wordage quite right yet, or like, the point of view.
How about
correct?
I don't like the way my hair looks right now, and I can't have it be shown to the world.
Oh, I love that. When I used to I would walk dogs all during the day, and then you would do a show, and then they're like, we have a photographer. I'm like, can you just tell me this before I show up?
Yeah, like take my backside.
Yes.
But anyway, so yeah, I felt that, and I saw a similar, different clip with Nicki Minaj. You know, Nicki Minaj has this she's talking about how she has this reputation, which you even have her, like everyone's like, oh, Nicki Minaj, oh my God, she's so hard to work with. And she was like, I'm showing up to shoots. They've got a $50 costume budget. They have a tray of pickles as the food. She was like, I'm not dealing with that. She's like, if I put it up with it, I'd be drinking the pickle juice right now. And it's like, yeah, she's absolutely right. When men do it, when, the masculine presence does this, it's like applauded as being like a
he knows
hero.
what he wants.
Yeah,
he's a genius.
And and meanwhile, when women do it, it's like perfectionist and neurotic, and she should be medicated.
Yes, and blacklisted. Because I remember that with who was her? Katherine Hagel. Mm-hmm. Remember, she talked about with Judd Apatow movie. She thought her character sounded like a nag, and she thought it was kind of unfair. And he was so harsh about that. And I was like, when you watch that movie now, you're like, she's actually right. It was an unfair representation for her. And I felt like it wouldn't have taken away the movie if you didn't make her a nag.
Yeah. I think it happens all the time in settings like that. Yeah. Like meanwhile, in The Shining, Stanley Kubrick is like abusing fucking Shelley Duvall,
who's never worked really after that.
She had PTSD.
Yeah.
So
and was so nice to like Jack Nicholson.
So nice, I'm sure. Yeah.
But that goes into that realm of like, I have a feeling Kubrick was probably like, well, she needs to be in this state for this role, but I've never been into that kind of directing of abuse to get the performance. You're like, how about they're actors and you can get that performance without abuse?
Yes, 100%.
Well, I watched, what's great? This is sidetrack. I watched that movie She Said about the Harvey Weinstein. And what I did appreciate about this movie is the way they showed the sexual abuse was the woman talking about it, and they overlaid it with like panties on the floor, the shower going off. So there was never like, you didn't need a scene of a woman getting brutally assaulted on camera you're like, I just don't feel like that's needed. But I'm like, oh, that was great that they did that for that movie. Yes.
I know, it's like the new Netflix paradigm is like, you show everything as much as you can, as gory as you can, because that's what gets people to watch it.
Well, you're like, back in the old days, like if you were going to do a rape scene, they would just have the camera lightly pan up to the moon.
Yeah. To the sky, to the beautiful night sky.
With screams in the background, where you're like, that's so much better than putting an actress through like horrific trauma.
Like, leave it to the imagination.
Yeah, which is way worse than anything.
I
will go worse than what the filmmaker's doing.
Truly.
But yeah, I'm like totally into. I just love bitchiness.
I love it. I love the idea of, taking like, to use an antiquated term, which has now been shit upon, but like using Joan Rivers or like somebody like a bitchy person as like a spirit animal, a spiritual guide, so that when you're in a situation where you do need to channel the bitchiness, you can, and it feels like a place coming from a place of confidence and not like a fear to speak up from yourself because you're like a narcissist echoist and you're on like the other end of the spectrum where you like can't speak up for yourself. But also you're obsessed with yourself. That's my new diagnosis for myself for the week. Light narcissism.
Which is great for us.
It's so great.
No, I know. I think I've had moments of bitchiness in my life, and I thought it was called for, and then it backfired.
It's true.
That's what I feel like at the stand because of it.
Yeah.
I was so annoyed. I was doing I thought a bitchiness banter back to the booker, and then he called me vile.
Oh. That'll get you.
Yeah. Bitter. I'm bitter.
That'll get you. Well, yeah.
I thought it was unfair.
I think the key of bitchiness is like keeping it to a friendly way.
Yes.
But it is hard to speak up for yourself sometimes in a way that actually gets the job done. because when you're a woman, you're dealing with people,
Yeah, and I also sometimes like I feel like you have to handle it with humor, but even then you're like, then you've made everyone laugh at this person.
Right. Now you've made a fool of him, and he's going to stalk you.
You will be scorned. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's bitchiness. That's our foray into it.
Embrace it.
Love it.
And then also, use it wisely.
Use it wisely. Yes. It is a sword.
Yes.
It is a sword. It can cut.
It can cut deep, but yes, I'm all for it. Yes.
Now let's get into you were doing a tchotchke era.
I'm in a tchotchke era, and this is something where you're like, first of all, having the baby, I've gone full consumerism.
Yes.
And I know January is the time for budgeting, and I'm really trying hard, but I've done some really fucking crazy Amazon hauls lately.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. Well, I'm doing loud budgeting.
Yeah.
But I'll get into that later.
But I've decided instead of buying stuff that's like big items, I've noticed I'm really into what I would call beautifying the home. Mm-hmm. So like I bought for toilet paper a nice brass toilet paper storage holder to keep.
Yes, and then, functional.
One time I got my friend that toilet brush.
Yes.
They're ugly.
Yep.
I was like, there's got to be a one that's aesthetically pleasing to the eye. I found one that was a cherry and the stem was the handle.
So cute.
So when you pull it out, there's the brush, but when you put it back in, it's a full cherry in your bathroom. So it's a pop of color.
I love that. That's a great gift.
Yes.
Everybody needs one.
So that's like, exactly. And those are things that I was thinking of, like what little things to make the house fun and more interesting. Like I'm into door stops.
Oh my God. I love a door stop.
Like I want to get a brass paw as my doorstop. I have a little boxer doorstop over here that I'm into that my sister got. Out. I saw one in England that I wanted. It was a bulldog one, like a brass bulldog. So I'm on the search for that. Changing your hardware.
Yes.
Like your doorknobs and stuff, or light switches, doing that. I found online on Pinterest, like this was really pretty the little bolts on your toilet on the floor.
Yeah.
You can get little bolt covers, and one's so like cool. A ceramic fish.
That's so cool.
So these are the things that I'm like really excited about.
I love this. I love this because, I've never been somebody, I wish I was this type of person. I would love to be this person. I never will be, like moving into a new place and you're like, oh, let's paint. Like the painting is so daunting. I mean,
you're
actually
a professional too.
Yeah, like
I've done it, and you don't do all the stuff, the taping and all that stuff. You're still getting it on the ceiling.
You're getting it everywhere.
Later at night, a week or so later, you're looking at your walls and you're like, oh, that is very one coat over there.
Yeah. Or like something's shining through. And then just the amount of labor of like scrubbing the wall, stripping the previous paint, putting whatever that kills stuff is. It's like just day after day. And then when you move, you have to paint it all back.
Yeah.
So.
I would love to do wallpaper, but I don't want to. I would think it's very expensive to get someone to do wallpaper for you.
Yeah.
And also, I can't do it by myself. I tried when we did the wallpaper on our signage.
Yeah.
It was so hard to even do one little square to get them lined up perfectly.
Press and stick wallpaper, it's cheap and it's fun, but it looks cheap.
Yes.
And like, I actually was talking with a guy who paints houses. He's like an interior painter and exterior. And he was talking about like, everybody's doing wallpaper now. And I was like, oh, wallpaper. Do you love it? He was like, it's awesome, but it costs a lot because it's like, it's time. You have to align it perfectly.
Yes. And then sometimes I remember we had wallpaper growing up in our house, and it would just over time be like just
that's
dangle.
A great punctuation for like a moment of despair. You're like, my life is complicated,
and then just like wallpaper landing on your head
and divorce.
Yeah. Also, sometimes like the risk of wallpaper, like I remember that was a trend to like do a border of wallpaper
Yes.
on the thing. And I remember even then as a kid being like mad at my friend's parents' house being like this. Why would you do that? So tacky.
Yeah, we had, I remember my house growing up, my mom likes to paint, so she would paint, but we did a lot of sponge painting.
That rocked house
my gosh.
stay-at-home moms
They love
for the 90s.
The sponge painting, the 90s, they are intertwined to me. It
was out of control because it was something that were like, I can do that.
Oh, sponging.
And they sponged paint everything.
Oh my God, we sponged everything. We had like several rooms that were just all sponge painted.
You know what I feel like the equivalent of is? I think is it called patina? Where it's like you add this texture to your wall, but it's kind of I call it the new sponge painting.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a patina.
I don't know I've not heard of this.
It looks like a clay finish.
Yes. Okay.
But you don't have to do a full paint job on it because you want that kind of rustic look.
Like the texture.
So I've been like, oh, that's the new sponge painting.
Yes. I love that. I love that in like my northern Italian kitchen. You know, you're like rustic, like vineyard.
Yes. And then my friend and I were talking because I've been looking at houses on Zillow, and then when you watch HGTV, I am so shocked. And I'm not saying I'm great either, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
But I am shocked how many Americans have bad decor.
Yeah.
It's shocking.
Decor is so challenging.
I think a lot of people think they have to get everything new at once.
Yeah.
So you get to see like a look that ends up feeling dated within 5 years. Like I think of the chevron stripes.
Yeah. It does remind me of like what Dan Rosen was saying when we had him on, and his advice was to like you really do need to put the time and energy into like finding those pieces.
Yes.
And becoming like passionate about like tchotchkes, you know, to like really fill up the space.
Yes. Well, I find just whenever I'm on Pinterest, or if I find something that I like or that I want, I put it in my list on my app on my phone. And then if I'm ever going thrifting, then those are the pieces I go looking for.
That's a really great way to do it. To have an eye open for something that would fit versus like just going out into the world and being like that. Yes, I think I like that.
Want that. And usually I feel like you regret those decisions. The other place that it's kind of like beautifying, I'm taking all of our cheap, shitty picture frames and I'm slowly replacing those with fancy ones.
Oh my gosh, this is a revolution. This is
it might be a
revolutionary.
10-year journey.
Wow. Yeah.
This is the long game.
Does Joe know that you're doing this?
No, and don't tell him.
It's a secret. Don't post it on Reddit, you weirdos stalking us.
Does Joe know that you're doing this?
He does now.
He does now, yes.
I have been doing more little moments with stuff in my home, a la Caitlin Palufo.
Oh, yeah.
I love, like, I have set, like, right in front of the TV, like, little picture frame, little candle, little tiny vase with, like, a few dried flowers. And that's been kind of my, like, little tchotchke journey is, you know, versus, like, what I did in my 20s was just kind of, like, setting things in a line, you know, like, setting things in a line, like, on the bookshelf or, like, the windowsill, you know. But now that I have the technology of little moments, I've been diving in head first.
Creating a little theme. I stayed in a friend's house this last weekend and we stayed in her daughter's and I'm like, she should be an interior designer for girls' rooms. It was the best room of the house. It was so cozy. She went with pink and I'm like, pink is such a relaxing color.
It's really like a neutral.
But what she did so good and has inspired me is I'm really into lamp lights.
Oh, I love
like
lamps.
I don't like overhead lighting.
Oh,
like
the big light. The big light.
Big light. No. And apparently there's two types of people and I think it's men and women. Men don't lamp light sets ambiance and it's a relaxing light. You put this on, it's like this.
Oh, and it depends. You know, I've struggled with this. This is 100% a lady journey because I've struggled.
Yes.
I have struggled with this in my relationship. Mike does not understand the wattage of bulbs.
Don't get the white. He needs the lower lights.
Yeah, he gets
the lower wattage.
Like the brightest fluorescent.
200 watts.
Yeah. And it's like, he puts it in the bedside lamp. I'm like, no. And
then they're like, stop yelling at me.
Well, I think too, like he wants to be able to see, so he's just thinking like this one will be good. It's like the brightest is not the best.
No, and you can still read with a good low wattage. I say 60.
60 to the max I would go is 100, but 60 is perfect.
Yes, but it's very
You turn
well
on a
into this-
light, it's like the light of the sun. It's the light of the sun in the
floodlights.
home. Yeah, it's
You're like,
crazy.
is this a crime scene?
Yeah.
Are we
You
trying to
feel
keep crime to a bay over here? We're like in the projects when they put the bright lights.
Oh my God, this is just police
Yeah.
manhunt going on. Yeah, it feels like office space. It feels
It ruins.
oppressive.
It is. It's like I just like a low light. I call it headache lighting, but
Yeah.
if I would love a dimmer in every room.
Oh my gosh, just lower it down.
I also like a light coming from like when you look over and you're like, do you have a light on the floor?
a small ambient,
That's like
an
behind
ambient light.
Or how about like my favorite is when like landscaping lighting, like when somebody puts a light spotlight on a plant.
Oh my God. Now that is a moment. We really segued into lighting, and I did not see us going here, but yet here we are. And that's why
I'm putting a spotlight on a plant. Like, do your work, baby. He's like this.
this
You
is
mean
my
this?
plant. My plant Alfredo. Yeah, track lighting. I with like a dimmer.
Oh, to put it under like
so
I want
nice.
I'm gonna put this is revolutionary, but I'm looking for a lamp for my kitchen because
Okay.
the kitchen light always seems like it needs to be an overhead lighting, but I don't even like that. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to look because I don't get natural light in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So I'm going for lamp lighting in there.
We do have a similar weirdness where our kitchen light is like one of those circular fluorescent bulbs, and it's like you're not finding mood lighting with that bulb.
It's just
Yeah.
It has a noise to it when it. Also, I really hate light fixtures in an apartment.
They're not good.
They're never good.
We only use lamps.
Yes.
We only use lamps. And thank you to Christy, who actually gave me an amazing lamp cover. She made this gorgeous. She takes like a sewing hoop, right? Like an embroidery hoop, right? And she connects two of them with a gorgeous piece of fabric. So whatever you want. You could even do tissue paper. And maybe not flammable. I'm not a fireman. I'm not a fire person. But yeah.
Put a warning on this.
Yeah.
Anything we say.
Put it in your baby's room. Anyway, so she's got like DIY, 2 embroidery hoops connected with a fabric, and then she hangs it, and then it's just like gorgeous mood lighting.
Yeah.
And DIY and so fun and so cute. You could switch out the fabric anytime. And cheap, because you just have to buy the little cord that the bulb goes in.
Oh yeah, that's pretty relatively inexpensive, and you can just get it at any hardware store.
And I like a nice hanging lamp. I have one right over my desk. Turn it on, like nice little, and then
I can get into paper lantern lights too.
oh my God.
You can get those at IKEA. I always want to change the light fixture. The fixtures, but I've done it once and it's a disaster.
You mean like in here?
Not in here. There's
Yeah.
nothing I can do about drop ceiling. It
Yeah.
drives me insane. I've looked into. You can get like different kind of tiles, ceiling tiles, but I'm just like, it's not worth it for this.
Yeah.
I don't know where I would put this back up because I feel like my landlord would be upset.
We have the ceiling of a funeral home.
It's a classroom in here.
It's like a classroom. It's like
a
an office.
DMV.
It's a wedding reception hall.
Yes.
A budget reception hall.
Well, that's
I should
like,
say.
I'm trying to put more lamps in this room because it is also the guest room.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Lamps are everything. Lamps are life.
Lamps. And that's part of beautifying the home. And that's kind of relatively inexpensive. And we'll talk about this maybe later on the next one. But like, I just joined a new Facebook group in my neighborhood and it's people getting rid of stuff for free.
This is amazing. This is game changer.
And you'll be surprised how much great stuff people are giving away for free.
Yes. Join this Facebook marketplace in your neighborhood, you guys.
Yes.
I mean,
Highly
what a
recommend.
hobby. Just getting free stuff. Now you're a hoarder.
I know there's times where I'm looking for bar stools and you can just I think you can do a hashtag called asking and then there's giving.
Oh, that's great.
So I'm going to look for, I believe I can probably find bar stools for free on my Facebook marketplace.
God willing.
What a great place.
Oh, Facebook Marketplace. You heard it here. Hey, everybody. Please like and subscribe. Join our Patreon. Please leave us a review on iTunes. If you can leave us a review, I will. You need to take a photo of it, send it to ladyjourneypodcast@gmail.com, and then I will send you a fun Lady Journey kit.
Yes.
It's very fun.
Very exciting. Lady Journey.